So the recognition of your own heart is the recognition that there is only one heart, that there is only one, there is no other. And the glorious unfolding into your own heart, into the one heart, is a collapse of every possible idea that there is other. That there is no other. That there is only one. And the great surrender is, in every situation, to find out, how is this one? How is it that there is only one here? There is only one here. How may I collapse any sense of two into the knowing of the one heart, in the heart? Whatever we are experiencing, it is never about someone else. It is never about an experience. It's never about anyone else's actions or behaviors. It's only ever about what is happening in our own mind, in our own internal functioning. And in a way, coming to freedom is the ability to not divide and project, not divide and project, to take such a depth of responsibility in the recognition that we are creating our own experience. Consciousness is creating its own experience of itself. And that the freedom comes in the heart when we collapse all ideas where projections are outward and blame is outward, that we really come to see how we are creating everything and how we have created everything, whether that has been created out of frequencies that are held in the consciousness from the young life, or if it's more obvious that it has been carried over from other lives, that it is karmic imprint. It doesn't really matter, and it's not even something that we need to understand, because again, part of this unfolding is the recognition that there is nothing personal, and it's not about understanding on a personal level, that we can never ever know another, because there is no other. And so why not give up trying to understand or know another until you know yourself? Because in the knowing of yourself, you realize that there's only one, and any sense of other is just a reflection of yourself. It will either be a reflection of your clarity, or it will be a reflection of your projections, right? If you are holding frequencies of anything, it will be reflected back to you, so that you have the possibility of meeting. If you are holding frequencies of mistrust, you will create deception. If you lie, you will be lied to. If you are holding suspicion, you will be deceived. It's just the way that it works, that we're creating out of the frequencies that we are holding. And that is why the great glorious possibility is to collapse those frequencies by recognizing that whatever is happening in the nervous system, it is our work to collapse the sense of division. It's a very well-known phrase, particularly in spiritual circles. Do you want to be right, or do you want to be free? It's rooted in wisdom, absolutely rooted in wisdom. Are you going to spend this precious life making projections and projecting blame and trying to be right? Or will you take responsibility for everything that has happened in the life? And will you resolve it in your own heart? In a way, that is the mission. We can be so preoccupied with mythic ideas of what spirituality is and what awakening is, what enlightenment is. And we absolutely get lost in concepts. And the concepts that we get lost in are the ideas of glorification and ascension. We get lost in ideas of what the me wants that to look like. Ideas of perfection, ideas of purity, ideas of love that are misunderstandings of what love is, right? We get lost in these concepts about what this unfolding is because the mind is preoccupied with the concepts, because the mind is trying to create a possibility to get away from everything that it wants to get away from, right? The mind wants to transcend away from struggle and suffering. But the truth is that this freedom is, yes, in opening to the wide open, expansive field of being. Yes, it is about dropping into the stillness and the silence. It is about resting in the deep, silent presence of being and knowing that this is the true nature. But it is also about shining the light upon absolutely everything in the life that feels to be discordant and taking absolute responsibility as the creator of it all. Because this is how we come to know the oneness. This is how we come to know there is only love, is by constantly collapsing all ideas and projections into the one heart. If we make it our mission in life to be living in fear and trying to make ourselves safe in a world that in truth we cannot trust the world, you cannot trust your own mind, you will create discordant, dysfunctional situations with the mind because that's what the mind is, right? So if we're constantly trying to make ourselves safe in a worldly play by trying to check out everyone and being suspicious, what we will create out of that frequency of fear is appearances that confirm. And then the mind will say, you see, I'm right. I was right about that character. I was right. They behaved in a distrustful way. They were deceptive. They did something bad to me. But what we fail to see when we're not really open to the whole intelligence of the field and how it all functions is that we're creating that from the frequency essentially of fear that we're holding. The frequency of fear has many, many subtle vibrations and flavors that it can create. But essentially, what it comes down to is, are we living in the frequency of fear and then creating from the frequency of fear and then confirming through projection, the world is not safe. People can't be trusted. Whereas the useful way to work with that is to recognize, I am in fear. I am suspicious and mistrusting. I don't trust people. I don't trust the world. I don't feel like this is a safe place. And I've been holding that since I was a child. What is useful is to say, so therefore, how can I create safety? How can I come to know safety? How can I come to a sense of trust? What actually is safety? What is trust? Because the truth is that we can't trust the mind, and we can't trust the creation and the appearance that is born out of the minds and the frequency of fear. What we can trust, the only thing we can trust, and this is for you to test in your direct experience. This is not a teaching. This is not offering something for you to believe. This is offering a possibility for you to explore. I've tested it. I've found it to be true. But you test it and you find out if it's true. The only thing that can be trusted is the only thing that doesn't change. The only thing that's not moving and changing, which is the still, silent presence of awareness in this moment. What can be trusted is the timeless, infinite, eternal presence of being. What can be trusted is that which never, ever moves and changes. What cannot be trusted is the moving, changing appearance of the world. It cannot be trusted. You cannot put your trust in someone and then be disappointed, because if you, let's say the way the play works is that if you have suspicion or mistrust, they will act that out for you beautifully. And then you'll say, you see, I knew that was going to happen, but it happened because you thought it was going to happen. Every situation we're creating it all. And it's so precious to be able to see this so that we can pull in the projections. Because to be living in projection and blame is to be living in separation, to be living in shame, living in guilt and doubt, living in a sense of lack, which is essentially the frequency of fear. When all the heart is longing for is to be living in the frequency of love and openness. There's not a heart that is not longing for that, because that is the true nature. So what can be trusted is love, but not love as an emotion, not love as a bargaining currency, but love as the openness and unconditional presence, the unconditional presence of the light, of the divine, of innocence, of purity. It doesn't matter what word we give to it. We can call it God, Divine Mother, truth, divine wholeness. Every being will have a unique name, word that will represent that. The truth is, you are that. You are that. There is only one that, right? You are that. You are one with that. And this unfolding and the whole play of life is this glorious opportunity to meet every fiber and thread of the life that feels to be divided and bring it home in the heart. Now, this is not a project for the mind, and this is not a process that happens in the blink of an eye. And yet, from a certain perspective, there's not even a blink of an eye. but from the perspective of the unfolding from the sense of being someone to the discovery of being silence, being no one, being nothing. From this perspective, the play of life and the human experience is this glorious opportunity that offers us, through the whole integrated dance of life, the possibility to remember and resonate at the frequency of love and be completely free of the mind and be free of the world that's created by the mind and live in the frequency of love, which is the frequency of reality. It's what every heart is longing for, and it is the direction that we are heading in. It's the direction that consciousness is heading in. So what if we give up our attachments to fear? What if we give up our delusion? What if giving up the attachments and delusion is about the willingness to illuminate everything in the life and to not project it, to let go of the habit to want to make wrong, want to make others wrong, wanting to make yourself wrong, wanting to project away from into the realms, those projected realms that create the appearance of the world and discordance. What if there are no blind spots, but there is one wide open field, which is the collective unconscious? And what if we are all working as one, all working as one to clear that collective unconscious so that all beings may be free? What if the deeper that we go into this knowing, the greater the capacity we have to clear that field on behalf of the whole? And what if every move that every being on the stage of life makes is a move that is offering freedom? Whatever that move may look like, it's about how you perceive it. What if every move that is being made is an opportunity? And if you feel in your system a trigger, a charge, a resistance, that your work in the face of the worldview that you have is to meet that trigger or charge in your nervous system, and on behalf of the whole, in the greatest service of humanity, it is to not reproject it back and create another round, to not be projecting fear into the world, but to be collapsing the frequencies of fear in your own functioning and to be living at the frequency of love. And what if you start with all of the beings in your life that you are holding blame and resentment for? What if there's a starting with every situation that's not resolved in your heart? And the starting point is to open up, to bless the whole situation, to bless yourself, to illuminate and bless the beings one by one that you see as other, that you see that may have wronged you, that may have behaved in ways that you don't like, that you want to hold some idea that they are wrong. That your work, your glorious work in service to the whole is to keep present with these situations in your heart and keep collapsing every fiber that wants to project outward into your own heart, So in our attempts to make ourselves safe, we're trying to work out whether we're safe in the company of the beings that we meet. It's kind of a survival mechanism, and it's innocent. But if we keep moving within this mechanism of trying to make ourselves safe by making others wrong, or being suspicious or mistrusting, and cycling in stories, talking about people, and in a way, moving that frequency of fear through gossip and conversations, trying to undermine. Don't be surprised if life creates situations to try to give you a really big reflection. Because if our movement is a movement of fear and we're trying to undermine anybody, if we're trying to undermine and we're trying to prove someone is bad or wrong, if we're keeping those stories going, grace will bring in a situation to give us an incredibly bright possibility. And if we continue to perpetuate the story of blame and projection, it will just come around again in some way, because this is the way the intelligence works. The intelligence is kind, it's patient, it's wise, and it's incredibly thorough. It will keep creating and reflecting the situations that we fear in order to give us the possibility of meeting the frequency of fear that is in us without any projection, and completely collapse it in. Because in the collapsing, what happens is we realize that our safety is not dependent upon anyone else's behavior, that our safety is dependent upon the depth of being that we are living in. And our safety depends upon not trusting people, not trusting the world, not trusting the play, but trusting God, trusting love. Our safety is dependent upon trusting love. And to trust love is to say yes to the whole play of creation. To trust the glory is to say yes to all of life, whatever it looks like. Because as soon as we divide, we might, in our story fiction of a mind, say, well, it's about this one and they did this. It's about this one and they did that. And it's about this one and I don't know if I can trust their behavior. But ultimately, what we're saying in an overarching narrative is, I don't trust you, God. I don't trust love. And when we don't trust the glory, when we don't trust love, we're living in a frequency of fear. And the way the intelligence works is that that frequency of fear will keep creating situations to give us the possibility to keep meeting and meeting and meeting. The feelings inside us, our feelings that essentially will come back to a feeling of mistrust, a feeling of not feeling safe. Now, can we not criticize ourselves for that? Can we not make it wrong that we have those feelings? Can we recognize the glorious innocence of those deep-rooted feelings of lack, of not feeling safe, of not trusting? Because in a way, that's the root of separation. That's the root of why there feels to be division when there is no division. So it's very easy to say, there's only one. There's only one. Great glory. There's only one presence of being, one stillness, one silence, one heart, one love. Let's live here. Let's be in the glorious celebration of this. And we feel the frequency of it, and we feel, yes, 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 this. And then we're moving in the life, and we feel like, oh, but what about when this happens? What about when this happens? Where's the being now? Where's the presence now? Where is awareness now? The truth is that it's right here. It's right here, aware of the situation that is being faced. But our learned habit is to identify with the situation. Our learned habit is to project. Still, the majority of the collective consciousness in the human realm moves by making projection and thinking that that is just the way that life is. But it's not so. It's not true, and it's not reality. And so what we are offering here is a possibility to explore that if we accept assumption about what life is and how it works without really exploring it, that we will live in a frequency of fear and keep perpetuating that frequency of fear. So yes, we open and celebrate the glorious presence of being, the true essence nature that all beings belong to, that we share one being, one heart, one wide open field of infinite, boundless presence. And in order to live this, it's not about having to, let's say, transcend in a way of holding that. It's about bringing the light of this presence to every area of the life that feels to not be illumined. This is where the magic happens. Nothing in life is about the situation. It's about what's happening in your nervous system. It's about the frequency that we are living at. When we are holding the frequency of fear, situations can come in and we don't see them clearly. We see them through filters. There could be the most incredible loving presence in front of you, and you can be seeing it through a filter of mistrust and suspicion, and you will overlay a story upon something that is just a being that is just loving you, just loving you. You will push away possible loving relationships and connections because of suspicion and fear. And your mind will tell you stories about people that are not true, because your mind is creating a narrative out of the subliminal moves that people make that are completely innocent, that it's never about the person. It's about our interpretation, how we're seeing it, and the overlays that we're putting upon a situation. There's only innocence, and the guilt is our own. Guilt is separation. Guilt is fear. And if we are afraid to feel our own fear, our own guilt, our own shame, we will keep projecting it outwards and making seeming others wrong, because we're afraid that there's something so deeply wrong with us, with ourselves, with me. I'm so afraid that there's something deeply wrong with me, that I need to make you wrong because I don't have the capacity to face that. And so many are living in this kind of framework of life. And it's so important that we illuminate it and bring it forward, because we'll never be able to truly live in what could be called like an abidance in the light, in the glory, if we don't bring the light into every area of the life and illuminate the unconscious that in a way is assigned to us. We have an assignment, and life is the assignment. We don't have to worry about excavating and digging around, trying to find what is wrong, where am I hiding? Because life gives us the opportunities. Where your nervous system is triggered, where you are resistant, that is where the work is. Where you are holding a narrative that divides you. If you are holding a division and you feel like there's me and other, then that's an opportunity to collapse the sense of division in your own heart, right? Again, it gets spoken very often that to end the war is to end the war in your own heart. Again, it's rooted in wisdom. The only battle that we have to win is with our mind. It is to find peace in the heart. It is the hardest thing in the life, because it is what sets us free. To find peace in the heart, to truly discover the peace of the heart, and to shine this peace into every area of the life that doesn't feel peaceful, is the glorious purpose of this life. It's what we're here for. We're not here to make a seemingly successful life for the me. We're here for this deep work. We're here to illuminate what is unconscious, transmute it, distill it, alchemize it through the lived experience. And in that we bring so much glory to our lived experience, because we start living from a heart that knows peace. We start living from a deep-rooted sense of true safety, knowing that nothing can happen to us. Nothing is wrong. Nothing has ever been wrong. There's never been a false move. There's never been a hair out of place. That there's only ever been love. And that we live in the frequency of love. And we shine this love on the surface of life. And as we shine this frequency of love on the surface of life, we have this extraordinary capacity to support our companions by distilling the discordance in the field. When we are living in projection, when we are making projections outward, it has a very strong effect upon the beings that we make projections to. That's why the discordance continues. It's because those frequencies of fear are being projected, and it's one field, and it's just perpetuating itself. And so What an incredible service to stop throwing daggers, to stop telling your story and stop trying to be right and pull it in, and instead bless every being that you have made projections upon, that you have wanted to make wrong, and find the resolution in the heart. Find the meeting in love. Find the meeting in peace. In a way, this is also so important because it's like we can be held captive by a story of how we have been wronged. We can be held captive for years and years. We could even say lifetimes, because so often these stories are karmic. They are often multi-lifetime. But in taking responsibility, we recognize that we have played every character. We have played the perpetrator, we have played the victim, and we've done it a gazillion times. And in this lifetime, great glory, we have the possibility of collapsing the whole show, realizing that both victim and perpetrator are a stance of the mind. And to collapse the whole play of opposites is to collapse the whole illusion of the world play, the whole delusion of the mind. Collapse all idea of victim and perpetrator into the presence of now. By remaining completely open and blessing it all, illuminating it all as the light of being, the light of awareness. Illuminate it all. And so as these words are coming, what is being spoken is narrating what is happening in the field. So the glory is that as the speaking comes, it pulls forward these stories that are being held. It pulls forward these frequencies of fear. It pulls forward the projections. It might seem like in your sitting experience that you're having flashes of thoughts or images or situations. And as those flashes come, the field is alive with it all. And so the way that the speaking works is that it calls it forward, like calling moths to a flame. I am not the flame. The field is the flame. The eternal presence of being is the flame. The wide open illumined field is the flame. And the flame of divine wholeness that is the field, that is satsang, the frequency of love, it calls forward the moths to the flame, to the light. It pulls it forward. It pulls forward what is ready to transmute. It pulls forward the feelings of guilt and shame, the feelings of division, the feelings of I have been wronged, the feelings I have done wrong, the feelings I have done something bad, the feelings I am lacking, the feelings I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to fix myself. The feelings that I am not safe. The feelings that I cannot trust, I do not trust. It calls forward all of the discordant feelings, all of the discordant frequencies, so that they can be illuminated and transmuted in the field. And that is the glory of the wisdom. That is the glory of the intelligence. That when we activate and illuminate how this wisdom works, there's no doing involved. It happens all by itself. The frequencies that are discordant surrender themselves in utter devotion, in their absolute longing for love. You see, it's not personal. It's all happening in the field. That these frequencies of consciousness are longing for love. They're longing to be resonating at the frequency of wholeness. So they surrender themselves. They surrender themselves forward. They get pulled out of the deep unconscious, like the karmic storehouse, the samskaras, right? They get pulled forward by the light, and the light shining upon them silently says, "You are welcome. I embrace you. I bless you. I see only light. I see only light. I see only light," says the light. I see only light. And these places that have felt discordant and needing to operate in protective patterns start to feel the embrace and the blessing of the frequency of love. And they start to transmute, and the alchemy of the intelligence of the field starts to take place. And there's nothing to do, and there's nothing to understand. It all happens in the silence. It all happens because we have the willingness and the courage, the capacity and the readiness. It all happens according to the consciousness. If your consciousness is open and saying yes, 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 if the consciousness is recognizing what is being spoken at a frequency level and recognizing the wisdom, the truth, the intelligence, there's like a natural yes happening in the consciousness. Now, if the consciousness is resistant, that's okay. It's totally okay. But if the consciousness is resistant, it won't go as deep. It won't go as deep. And that's okay, because what does happen is it works in the unseen, exactly where the consciousness is. It just starts to soften and untangle and embrace and illuminate. It's always blessing itself. The light shining upon itself is always a glorious blessing. And so there's nothing to understand and there's nothing to do. It's just about receiving. And where you, as consciousness, can feel a frequency of recognition, a frequency of yes, it's just to allow that frequency, that resonant frequency, to be felt in the nervous system, like a celebration. The celebration says, yes, okay, take it all, clear the field, clear the karmic storehouse, clear the discordant frequencies. I'm ready to let go of this habit to protect and to hold this protective habit of projecting and blaming. I open to the resolution in the heart of every fiber of projection, of division. I'm willing to take responsibility for the life that I am creating and to recognize that I have this incredible, profound opportunity to collapse the frequency of fear using the alchemy of the heart into the remembrance of the frequency of love, and that only I, in my inner functioning, have the power for that kind of transmutation to happen, that no one can do it for me. And yet, in my collaboration with the glory, in my collaboration with the frequency of love, with love itself, in my collaboration with God, the divine, with wholeness, I am supported, I am guided, I am held, I am safe in the presence of God. I am safe in the presence of love. I can trust the presence of God. I can trust the presence of being. I can trust the unmoving, unchanging. I can trust the light that is ever bright, that is the wholeness. I can trust and let go into a depth of safety in my own heart, that this unfolding is a recognition, a remembrance of my own heart. So as these words come, just to notice what is happening in your system. What is happening in your system? Just to notice the frequency. There could be a sense of things being stirred. There could be a sense of recognizing the deep, silent, still presence of awareness. Could be a sense of aliveness and celebration and flow. Could be a sense of deep peace, unmoving, unchanging peace. Nothing needs to happen. You see, these words they're not for the mind. They're not for the me. What hears them is the same as what's speaking. What is speaking and what is listening is the same. It's one field, one consciousness. And that is the glory, is that it is consciousness itself that calls itself here. And the reason doesn't have to be understood by the mind, because whatever is happening in the unseen. And it doesn't matter what is happening. There is only ever one momentum in life. Life living itself is a momentum that is attempting to free itself from any division and restriction and constraint, and open and flower and blossom the frequency of love right on the surface of life. That is all that is ever trying to happen, even in the most wildly discordant situations. That is what is attempting to happen. And it is according to the perspective of consciousness, how we see what we see. Essentially, when we really, really drop into the intelligence of what it means to truly take responsibility, it's the recognition that there is no world out there that is separate from your mind, that the seeming world out there is created by your mind. And that is why all of the work is the collapsing of the mind's fear and division into the heart, into the soul light, into the presence of being. That we are not being held captive by anything outside of our own functioning. That the truth is that there's only one here. That we are here alone. We are here alone, and we are creating an appearance. The whole play of life is a stage, and every character that enters the stage of your life and exits the stage of your life does so by the grace of God, by the grace of love. It's all there is. And for our life to open and deepen, to discover the truth of this, is the mission. And I would say here that I'm not speaking here of a theory. I'm speaking from direct experience of my own life, that this has been the experience and continues to be the experience, that we can collapse the mind into the heart, into the glory, and recognize that there is only one here, that there's only divine wholeness. That's all there is. That's all there is. Goodness, innocence, purity. And the journey of a human life is to truly discover the innocence and purity that you are, that has never been touched, tainted, diminished. And in this, when there is a one-pointedness, where there is a seeing of only one, the light is life. The light takes over the life. There's only light. There is only light. In the frequency of one, that one is light. It's all there is. You are made of light. Your thoughts are light. Your life is light. Your body is light. The mind is light. The discordance is light. The protections and conditionings are light. It is all the light of intelligence, the wisdom light. Every story, every narrative that is ever played through on the movie screen of your mind, projected as a world, is light. It is to discover that you are the light, not the me, not the world, not the story, that you are the light. Remember the light that you are. In a way, everything changes, and yet nothing changes, because you have always been light. It's all there is. Everything is light. Light dancing, resonant frequencies of light. The nervous system, the consciousness is light. Creation is light. The creator is the principle of light. So as the words come, it's not to understand. It's just to attune and open to the frequency of where you, in your direct experience, feel a sense of yes, a sense of alignment, a sense of recognition. There's nothing to understand. There's nothing to take on. There's nothing to take home. It's about this moment, the freshness of this moment, being alive as yourself, as the presence of being. The field is taking care of anything and everything that is ready to be seen, to surface, to transmute. The alchemy is happening in the field because of the frequency of light where the frequency of light is present, alchemy is always happening. And so that is why sometimes it can seem like a situation that you are sitting with, contemplating, collapsing, dissolving, that in a certain frequency it feels really, really clear. It feels really clear. And then afterwards it can seem like your mind comes back in and the story can start rolling a little bit again, right? It's all about the frequency, and it's to be resting at the frequency that can illuminate and bless, that is the unified field, the wide open field that is never ever divided, the wide open field that is divine wholeness. So let us just rest here, and let us see what is happening in the field here. So there are frequencies coming forward of confusion, of the belief that I have to do something. And those frequencies of confusion and the habit to do, to feel like I have to do, are being illuminated and cleared in the light. There's a deep flowing surrender happening, a beautiful surrender happening. A deep holy yes in the field. Such a willingness, such a willingness. It's happening in the recognition of the frequency of what true safety is. And as each system, your internal functioning, your nervous system, your consciousness is attuning with that sense of safety, it's naturally calling forward the discordant frequencies that are holding a sense of shame, a sense of guilt, a sense of lack. And we could say there's a frequency of coming forward of a really deep holding of the sense that is not okay, that is not okay, that is wrong, that is bad, whether it is about yourself or another. That behavior is not acceptable, that is not okay. This frequency is being illuminated and blessed in the light. A tendency to protect through projection and blame is being illuminated. And the heart is so willing to let go, so willing to let go of what is ready to surface. As a great glorious flow of gratitude coming through. Divine gratitude. And the gratitude is the wide open field of wholeness. Where there's only one, there's a natural gratitude. A gratitude for everything. A gratitude for all of life. A gratitude for absolutely everything. A gratitude for every character that has graced the stage. Recognizing that every character has played a very specific and perfect function created by your own mind to allow you to feel the deep feelings and stresses, allowed those deep binding stresses of the unconscious to be called forward and offering the possibility to free them. So there's such a gratitude for it all, such an extraordinary gratitude for it all, and a divine gratitude for it all, for you, for the life, for the play, for the characters, for the whole human realm, and the whole unfolding. And as there is a clearing of discordance, there's finer frequencies of light flowing into the nervous system, flowing into the nervous system and flowing up into the brain and glands. Every cell, every fiber. Feeling more brightness and illumination. A sense of letting go. A sense of casting away from the binding. Casting away into the boundless, infinite field, feeling the openness, the spaciousness, the wide open, illuminated field. Releasing, and letting go into true safety. The knowing that true safety is in the knowing of yourself, in the recognition of your own heart. Even in just that taking responsibility and recognizing that there's only one movement here, and it's the flow of consciousness, the flow of life, and the trajectory is absolutely towards freedom. The trajectory is to remember and resonate at the fine frequency of love. And so resting here, just noticing what is happening in your system, receiving the frequency of your own heart, one with all that is. Recognition that the glory of the life is to be able to see the perfection of every single thing that has ever happened as one grace, one extraordinary flow of grace, that there only has ever been love. The alchemy happens when we can illuminate what feels to be discordant, and in taking responsibility, receive the discordance without trying to deny it or get away from it. But recognizing there's only one here. I am that one. How can I let go of the sense of being divided from the glory into the wide open expansive field of the still silent being? Ever supported in the light of awareness, in the light of the heart's knowing. There is the most incredible, gracious support always here. Mm. 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 Just the presence of being itself is a celebration of the heart's knowing, a celebration of the truth that the heart knows, that the truth that the heart knows is not outside of yourself. It's an inner knowing. It's a deep resonance of primordial goodness. To know your own goodness is to be at peace. To know your own goodness is to illuminate every thought, every fiber that wants to habitually go towards making wrong, deficiency, lack, shame and guilt and doubt. To illuminate the life, the inner functioning, and to recognize in that the power is in our own functioning. We have the power to free ourselves from the confines of the mind into the glorious wilderness of the one heart. Mm. 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 And so resting here, you are good, you are light, you are love. Mm.